On a warm October evening, with a steady stream of cars carrying out-of-state leaf peepers ready to take in the fall foliage in Manchester, Vermont, members of the First Congregational Church got to work setting up chairs on their front lawn for one of their beloved services of the year, the Blessing of the Animals, made famous by St. Francis, the patron saint of animals, who was canonized in 1288 and who had a special relationship with all of God's creatures, great and small.
Animals are such an important part of people's lives. Why shouldn't they be blessed?
The four-legged guests were treated to homemade dog biscuits made by the youth groups of First Congregational, the United Church of Christ in Dorset, Vermont, as well as Zion Episcopal Church. As the service got underway, the Reverend Bill Borrow mentioned how Francis was pivotal to his spiritual formation.
Francis is a saint for all time, particularly in this time of turmoil and crisis. But Francis loved nature by being attentive to it.
Part of that attentiveness was calling attention to the needs of animals in times of disasters, especially the recent hurricanes and flooding.
Probably, most of you have probably seen the heartbreaking picture from North Carolina, which is an area very dear to my heart. I've done a lot of work down there. And there's this little young girl drenched, holding her puppy and shivering. There's so much that picture evokes about the tragedy that's going down on there, and just the need for us to love not only the things that are close to us and love our pets and our house and love this beautiful place we're in, but that to be a follower of Christ, to be someone who follows the example of Francis, is to love all who are in need.
Finley, who belongs to Randy Yokers, a member of First Congregational Church, knows how his master was moved by images from the Ukrainian war.
Leaving on the trains, literally every person had a pet in their arms at the railroad station.
He now gives generously to animal relief organizations overseas.
Praise be you, my Lord, Sister Moon and the stars.
After listening to their humans say a prayer for them, it was time for the pastor to offer a blessing.
I'm going to come to you to your animal and let me know the best way to approach your animal. Francis had good luck with wolves, me not so much. So I'm just going to tell his bell. God bless you. I'll see what I can do about her getting to heaven. You I'm not so sure about it. Yeah.
In Abington, Massachusetts, at the United Church of Christ of Abington, there's a special blessing that can be found on the church website. On the staff page, there listed is Lucy, the unofficial spiritual support dog.
Good girl.
Lucy's pastor and dog mom, the Reverend Dr. Christy Coben, began to notice Lucy's popularity growing while during COVID, she'd be filming worship from her living room. And there would be Lucy doing tricks in front of the camera.
Can you pray? Oh, good girl.
When the congregation returned to in-person worship, so did Lucy. She's now part of the congregation, and Coburn says that she has a way of entering into people's hearts, and she connects them once again to the joy that worship should be. At St. Peter's United Church of Christ in South Bend, Indiana, animals were invited to receive not just a spiritual blessing, but a physical one as well, with free microchipping and rabies vaccines being offered to the community. It was Dr. Carrie Kreider, formerly an Army veterinarian who now works with the Humane Society of Elkhart County in Bristol, Indiana, who brought the idea to the Reverend Kenneth Scott Bowie.
We're glad to have you a part of this congregation and are just humbled by the ways in which you push us to be a compassionate and caring congregation. Last Saturday, we microchipped and vaccinated 131 pets. and we welcome their families into this space, because that's the kind of community we are. That's the kind of commitment that we have to life and to God's creatures that bless our lives with their lives.
Kreider said in preparation for the animal blessing, she asked herself what this day is about. That's when she looked up the definition of blessing, and she found this. A blessing is a prayer asking for God's favor and protection. And that's exactly what she said she is doing. Every time she blesses an animal, she asks for God's favor upon that animal and protection. Well, October 4th is the official feast day of St. Francis, and thus, blessing of the animal services are usually held in the month of October. The service can be held throughout the year, as it is a great way to reach out to others, like Susan Arndt from Manchester, Vermont, who admits she usually watches worship online only. But tonight, she found a community at First Congregational Church of Manchester.
Delightful and so peaceful and beautiful. I met lots of nice people.
And she says she will be back along with Eva, her 12-and-a-half-year-old dog.